Tucked away in the rugged heart of County Donegal, nestled deep within the rolling Bluestack Mountains, lies a place of profound mystery and enduring spiritual significance. This remote townland is called Disert. For countless generations, people have been drawn to this quiet corner of Ireland, seeking solace, connection, and something beyond the everyday. It isn't a grand cathedral or a famous monument. Instead, Disert's power lies in its simplicity, its wild beauty, and the layers of history that whisper on the wind. It's a place that feels ancient, as if the very stones hold the memories of thousands of years of human devotion and hope. The journey to Disert is part of its magic. As you travel from the bustling world, the roads narrow and the landscape opens up into a vast expanse of heather and bog. The air grows stiller and the sounds of modern life fade away, replaced by the bleating of sheep and the cry of a lone bird. This sense of removal from the ordinary world is crucial to understanding Disert's appeal. It has always been a place apart, a destination that required a deliberate pilgrimage. Why people started coming here is a question lost to time, but their footsteps have carved a path that continues to be followed to this day, each visitor adding their own story to its long and sacred history. Dominating the skyline near Disert is the distinctive, cone-shaped peak of Carnaween. This mountain isn't just a landmark, it's considered a sacred place in its own right. Its name is thought to mean cairn of the woman, perhaps hinting at an ancient goddess or a powerful female figure from mythology. The presence of Carnaween adds to the mystical atmosphere of the entire area. For ancient peoples, mountains were often seen as the homes of gods or gateways to the other world. Standing in the shadow of this hallowed peak, it's easy to feel a connection to those early beliefs, and to understand why this specific valley was chosen as a special sanctuary. The relationship between the Valley of Disert and the Mountain of Carnaween is fundamental. They form a sacred landscape, a natural cathedral where the earth and sky meet. For early inhabitants, the world was alive with spiritual forces, and certain places were recognized as being particularly powerful. Disert, with its sheltered position, fresh water source, and the watchful presence of Carnaween, would have been an ideal location for ritual and worship. The very geography of the place seems designed for contemplation, making it a natural focal point for communities seeking to connect with the divine long before any buildings were ever constructed here. Long before the arrival of Christianity, Disert was a center for pagan worship. The stories woven into this landscape are some of Ireland's oldest and most famous. This was the hunting ground of the legendary warrior band, the Fionn, led by the giant Fionn Cumhaill. Local lore is rich with tales of their adventures in these very hills. The most famous legend associated with the area is the tragic romance of Diarmaid and Grainne. Pursued by a vengeful Fionn, the fleeing lovers are said to have hidden in a cave on the nearby slopes, a story that anchors these epic myths directly to the soil of Disert and makes the landscape feel alive with their presence. These connections to Irish mythology tell us that Disert was already an important place in the collective imagination of the people. It was a storied landscape, a backdrop for the deeds of gods and heroes. This pre-existing reverence made it a natural choice for later spiritual movements. When a new belief system arrives, it often absorbs or builds upon the sacred sites of the old one. The spiritual energy that the pagans felt here did not simply vanish. Instead, it was reinterpreted and given new meaning by those who followed, ensuring Disert's continued importance as a place of profound spiritual power. With the dawn of Christianity in Ireland, Disert's role evolved. The name itself, Disert, comes from the Latin word desertum, meaning a deserted place or hermitage. Early Irish monks, inspired by the desert fathers of Egypt, sought out remote, wild locations to build their monasteries and live lives of prayer and solitude. Disert was a perfect fit. They established a small monastic settlement here, a place for quiet contemplation, far from the distractions of the world. The pagan holy well became a Christian holy well, and the old gods were replaced by a new one. But the tradition of pilgrimage continued uninterrupted. Over the centuries, Disert grew into an important destination for medieval pilgrims. They would travel for miles, often on foot, to pray at the holy well in the ancient church. The site became associated with a local saint, and its reputation for healing and spiritual renewal spread. Pilgrims would follow a set pattern of prayers, known as a turf, walking around the sacred sites in a ritualistic manner. This practice, a blend of Christian devotion and older folk traditions, solidified Disert's status as a powerful place of intercession, where the faithful believed their prayers were more likely to be heard and answered. During the 17th and 18th centuries, a dark period in Irish history known as the Penal Times, the public practice of Catholicism was outlawed, churches were closed, and priests were forced into hiding. In these desperate times, communities sought out secret places to celebrate Mass and keep their faith alive. Remote and difficult to access, Disert once again became a sanctuary. Believers would gather discreetly in the open air, using a particular rock as a natural altar. This mass rock still stands today as a powerful and poignant monument to the resilience of a people who risked everything for their spiritual beliefs. The use of Disert as a secret place of worship added another profound layer to its history. It became a symbol not just of ancient spirituality, but of cultural survival and defiance in the face of oppression. Imagine the faithful looking over their shoulders, posting lookouts on the hillsides as a priest in disguise led them in forbidden prayer. This period transformed the valley from a place of quiet contemplation into a site of active resistance. The very act of gathering here was an act of courage, forging an unbreakable bond between the people, their faith, and this sacred patch of land. In a later, sadder chapter of its history, Disert took on another solemn role. Into the 20th century, a small, unconsecrated burial ground known as a cillin was used here. In those days, strict church doctrine forbade unbaptized infants from being buried in consecrated ground. Heartbroken parents, denied a place for their children in the official graveyard, would come to ancient sacred places like Disert. Under the cover of night, they would secretly bury their little ones in this holy earth, believing the sanctity of the place would offer some protection and peace for their lost souls. This practice is a deeply sorrowful part of Irish history, but it also shows the enduring belief in Disert's sacred power. When official religion offered no comfort, the people turned back to the ancient traditions and the intrinsic holiness of the land itself. The cillin at Disert is a testament to a folk spirituality that ran deeper than any doctrine. It demonstrates that, for the local community, this place was seen as fundamentally holy, a sanctuary where even the most excluded souls could find a final, peaceful resting place among the ancestors. Despite the passage of millennia and the dramatic shifts in belief, Disert has never lost its spiritual pull. Today it remains a living, breathing place of prayer and reflection. You won't find tour buses or souvenir shops here. Instead, you will find locals who still visit to walk the ancient pilgrim path, to say a quiet prayer at the Mass Rock, or to leave a small token at the Holy Well. They come seeking peace, healing, or simply a moment of connection in a world that often feels too loud and too fast. The tradition is unbroken, passed down from one generation to the next. The objects left behind tell a story of quiet, modern-day faith. At the Holy Well, you might see rosary beads draped over a branch, a small religious medal pressed into the soil, or a simple handwritten prayer tied to a fence. These humble offerings are a direct link to the pilgrims of the past. They show that Disert is not just a historical site, it is an active spiritual hub for the community. People still bring their worries, their hopes, and their gratitude to this valley, just as their ancestors did centuries ago. The reasons for coming may have changed, but the act of coming has not. The enduring allure of Disert lies in its mystery. We don't know exactly why the first people chose this spot. We can only guess at the full meaning of the rituals performed by the pagan druids or the early Christian monks. This lack of certainty is part of its power. It allows each visitor to find their own meaning here. Without a single strict narrative, Disert becomes a canvas for personal reflection. It is a place that invites questions rather than providing easy answers, encouraging a deeper, more personal form of spiritual engagement. Ultimately, Disert is a powerful reminder that some places are special. It is a thin place, as the old Celts would say, where the veil between this world and the next is almost transparent. Whether you see it as the home of ancient gods, a sanctuary for saints, a refuge for the persecuted, or simply a beautiful valley in the Donegal mountains, its significance is undeniable. The spirit of Disert persists, a quiet, constant presence in the heart of the Bluestacks, waiting for the next pilgrim to walk its ancient path and feel its timeless peace.